Warning. I chain smoke and I say fuck a lot. But I accept myself for the way I am. I accept you too. Viewer discretion advised.
As Poltergeist 3 opens around the country, the memory of Heather O'Rourke continues to make headlines. The mother of the star of the 3 Poltergeist movies has filed a wrongful death suit against the hospital and medical group that treated Heather.
They're here.
Heather O'Rourke was just 5 years old when director Steven Spielberg cast her as Carol Ann in the movie Poltergeist.
I didn't know who he was, and he came over and he asked if I ever been in any movies, and I go, no, and he goes, do you want to come to my office for an interview? And I go, sure.
And this is from her IMDb. Heather entered American cinematic pop culture before first grade. She was sitting alone at the MGM commissary waiting for her mother when a stranger approached her asking her name. "My name is Heather O'Rourke," she said, "but you're a stranger and I can't talk to you." When her mother returned, the stranger introduced himself as Steven Spielberg. She failed her first audition when she laughed at a stuffed animal Spielberg presented her with. He thought she was just too young. She had just turned 5, and he was actually looking for a girl at least 6 years old. But he saw something in her and asked her to come in a second time with a scary storybook. He asked her to scream a lot. She screamed until she broke down in tears. The next day at the commissary, Spielberg told her and her family, "I don't know what it is about her, but she's got the job."
It's fun because it gets to meet a lot of people and different famous people, and you get to learn different things.
She went on to star in Poltergeist 2 and had finished filming Poltergeist 3 when she died Monday at age 12. An official with the San Diego coroner's office said the cause of death was reported to that office to be the result of congenital stenosis or constriction of the intestine after the child went into septic shock. A source described that by saying her intestine burst. O'Rourke's manager, Mike Meyer, would only say that the child was thought to be suffering from the flu Sunday and that at that time her condition did not appear to be serious. She was taken to a San Diego hospital Monday. A coroner's official said she died there during surgery. O'Rourke's family is said to be in shock.
Yesterday on Crazy Days and Nights, they started dropping a bunch of reveals on a lot of their 2017 stories. This story's pretty fucking tragic and disgusting. It's not too graphic, but I still want to double warn you. Viewer discretion advised. November 9th, 2017. Back in the mid-80s was peak child molesting time in Hollywood. There was no internet. There were very, very few mobile phones. Children came to the set where they were left alone by their parents. For the next 8 hours, they were subject to every kind of horrible thing you can imagine. Drugs were commonplace. They were used to try to get the kids to not be so hysterical when being assaulted. Producers loved casting shows with kids and tweens. If someone pitched a show that involved a handful of tweens and a dozen tween extras per week, it would get a green light even if the show was going to suck and everybody knew it was going to suck. If you got the right pedo at the studio, he would say yes, just to comfort the casting and taping of the pilot. There were lots of parents who told their kids to go out for the nice man in the suit and do what he says. It was a sick, sick time. It was the mid-1980s when a producer came up with the idea of a tween show that not only would feature a rotating cast of extras, but would make the studio a bunch of money because it would film quickly and not hire any adults. From the first day, it was the worst place on earth if you were a kid. The studio where the show was filmed also had several other shows being filmed there, most of which featured lots of children. Executives would drive to Hollywood right before lunch and would stay at the studio for several hours each day. On this particular show, there was a special guest star, a very special guest star. Still not a tween, everyone knew who she was. Executives flocked to her at the studio that day to see her. She was first molested when she was 5 or 6 and had continued to be molested throughout her hit movies and also on a previous show. That makes me wonder, are they talking about Happy Days?
Yeah, right. Listen, it's me again. We met in the hall. That doesn't make us strangers no more. Can we chat?
I guess so.
Is your daddy home?
No.
Oh, all right. When is your daddy coming home?
Mommy says when hell freezes over.
That would be kind of weird. Because in Happy Days you have Scott Baio, from Charles in Charge, which Alexander Polanski has just, communicated to about the abuse on the set. And Bobby Hoffman from Alfie's Soda Pop Club was a casting director of Happy Days. Weird. One of the stars of the show, who has spent her life bouncing in and out of rehab because of what she saw, and who was actually nominated for awards from the show, described the atmosphere that day. A bunch of fucking pigs. I had just turned 12 or 13. I was the same age as the actress coming in. Maybe a little older. We had been shooting for months, and I was old news. They knew I would do what they wanted, but they always wanted someone new. This was someone new and someone they all knew. They had set it up like a peep show almost. She had finished shooting that morning and they brought her out on the stage. The stage was used most of the time for a game show that was taped there. The game show is still on today. I can't watch it knowing what happened to her there. They brought her out, and the front 4 rows of this theater were filled with guys who were already rubbing themselves. The girl was wearing a bikini. The show took place around the beach, just so they could make these girls wear next to nothing. They had her walk around on stage under lights. The lights were focused on her and she couldn't really see out in the audience. She was squinting. It must have been blinding for her. They had her walk back and forth. Then they had her start dancing. All of these guys were doing what another star at the same studio got busted for. This went on for about 20 minutes. Then 3 of the guys took her off to a different area of the studio. The actress didn't see what happened, but about 45 minutes later, one of those 3 guys came running out and needed a set medic. Apparently, they inserted something inside the girl, and things were bad. The medic came, and the ambulance came. The parents of the girl were told some crap story. That crap story ended up killing the girl because the parents believed the executives. And the reveal, Heather O'Rourke.
Then they operated on her after they had her stable, and they told me she had a congenital blocked intestine, had died of septic shock. And the next day, that's when I got to thinking, well, this isn't what she had.
I owe it to Heather to present her case as most honestly and lovingly as I can. I loved this child very much, and I am still very grieved at her passing. Heather died because of an undetected congenital anatomical defect.
Meanwhile, the child's former co-workers from the television show Happy Days, where she had a recurring role, were saddened by the news.
She was a professional. She was beautiful.
O'Rourke's manager called the young actress a wonderful kid.
She was a healthy, happy, normal girl. It couldn't have been more surprising to us. It makes no sense.
I don't know about this guy. Fucking stoned.